Alright, so we're live with Necro Combo again. Last week I talked about working on a green splash, and unfortunately haven't had time this week to test due to some different things, but at least got the mana base kind of squared away, looking at some of the black-white mana bases for the Necro builds with Ketramos, along with 4 copies of Fel the Profane and Boggart Trawler. So the main deck really isn't changed a whole lot other than the mana base, a little bit reworking. A couple things this does is we're only running 1 Castle Locthwain, and now only 3 basic swamps. We are running a couple Overgrown Tombs and a couple Underground Mortuaries, so we will at least have some access to Scrylands throughout the game, which might help improve our draw in situations where we run out of gas in the early turns. And the main deck otherwise is mainly the same. The 4 Profane Tutor to find one of our 4 copies of Necrodominance, or in certain matchups, Palantir of Orthanc. We still have the 6 discard spells, 4 Fatal Pushes, along with 4 Fel the Profane and 4 Soul Spike to deal with creature aggression, Sorin, and Veto as our kind of combo pieces with our life gain combo. Obviously the Soul Spikes. And then the big hits are the 4 Otacon Worm with 4 Nourishing Shoal. So main deck hasn't really changed a whole lot. The sideboard is where I kind of rework things a little bit. This could still be Leyline of the Void. I'm not sold on Dothy one way or another. I mean, Dothy obviously is vulnerable to a little bit more hate-based removal, or to creature removal, obviously, whereas Leyline is where a lot of people are bringing in hate for when they're expecting additional graveyard hate besides the 4 copies of Boggart Trawler. We have 2 copies of Sheoldred when we want to go a little bit more fair. I don't know how that game plan will work out, but at least we have the option to bring in 6 cards. We want like a semi-transformational game plan. 2 copies of the Meat Hut Massacre for any type of creature decks, especially Boros Energy. Also gives us a little bit more life gain. A couple copies of Boseiju, both as lands 23 and 24 when we possibly want to go on the Sheoldred plan, while also being, additional land destruction to pair with Break the Ice against the Eldrazi decks. Also happens to be artifact and enchantment removal for various different matchups where that's relevant. 2 copies of Veil of Summer. I would like to fit more of these in. Maybe shave a Voidwalker, maybe shave the Sheoldred to help against the kind of anti-combo decks, so basically the counterspell decks, or additional discard decks. And then finally, 1 copy of the Oof, there it is, to help against Breach as well as Affinity. So that said, let's get into some matches and see if this version's any better, or if making the mana base a little bit worse ends up costing us more than it's worth. I mean, the deck has felt fine against fair decks, like, so far, and we certainly will lose to fair decks at some point, but this deck is like combo control, not unlike something like Creativity in terms of you're trying to interact for the first couple of turns, then you're trying to turn around and combo to win the game. Usually that combo involves Necrodominance, drawing many cards, finishing Nourishing Shoal, Otacron Worm, and either Sorin and Veto, burning your opponent out that way. Alternatively, you can go the kind of the card advantage route with Palantir of Orthanc, not really taking a bunch of damage, using scrying and drawing at the end of your turn to kind of leverage, and then obviously you still have the beat down plan of Sorin, Boggart Trawler, Veto. It's not the best, obviously, but it is a backup game plan in situations where your Necrodominances get dealt with. And then obviously in the post-board games, you now have access to Voidwalker and Sheoldred, not unlike the old mono black scam variants. Veil of Summer, this could just easily be the extra thought seizes and inquisitions, just to punch through counterspells basically, as well as protecting against any type of discard spells. Beseiju, this is part land destruction to pair with your Break the Ices against Eldrazi. And then Oof is really kind of an additional splash accessory when we're already going the distance to try to get the extra cards. So it is entirely possible that this splash isn't necessary, but I do think having Collector Roof as a high value card off your Profane Tutor, your Veil of Summers potentially protecting against counterspells, which have been one of our bigger problems, and then Beseiju, just isn't a land that also has some utility. So, whew. One of the other cards making the rounds in some of these decks is Sickening Shoal. It's more, I think, for the more normal, try to be, for lack of a better term, try to be fair decks. So this hand is fine. I mean, we don't have a Necropotence, but we do have a Palantir. We do have early interactions, so. Obviously, Autochron Worm's kind of a mulligan, but sometimes when you play random combo pieces, your combo pieces are the best. We did run into one last week that instead of using the life gain combo, was instead trying to use Sphinx's Tutelage. So that is something also to consider with this, but looks like we're going to be up against Energy round one. Nope, not Energy. Gonna get hit with Burning Inquiry. Nope, we are literally up against Burn. Alright, well. Bolt Wave, Skewer. Does any of these actually matter in comparison? Guess we take the Bolt Wave. We'll probably just get double Skewered next turn, so we'll be going to 10, so. Yep. Yep. I think that card will do reasonably enough. Okay, draw the Soul Spike, go to 9. ultimately deciding what they're going to do here. Just go ahead and gain the life here. Charmed sheep. Or charmed slate. Okay. Those. Sure. Okay, this can come into play tapped. I mean, Nourishing Shoal alone was basically a good game. Trawler. That goes to 3. And let's just go ahead and play this. Yes, drain you. Flip. All right. So our main deck isn't terribly set up against this matchup. I wouldn't mind Shoulderids. Don't really think that any of these other cards, other than maybe the Meat Hook Massacre, make sense. But I do think our main deck is already pretty well set up against them, so... Not a huge fan of Thoughtseize against Burn, obviously. But it is a card that can clear the way in some spots. Is this hand good enough? I guess so. Obviously, we're kind of vulnerable to a turn 1 card. Yep. Okay, well. Pump in the Night, Riftbolt, Skewer the Critics. Mm-hmm. Yeah, drawing that was a bit problematic. Okay, trigger. Go ahead. Sure. Getting very fortunate with their draws. I would have gone Riftbolt with the to face and then skewered potentially. Mm-hmm. No, in some ways this was just not even fair. Yeah, that kind of felt not fair. So I'd like to play first. Alright, so this hand this hand's fine. We have 3 lands. Well, 4 lands if we want. I'm going to play the fetch land. That way we have the choice between fetching Underground Mortuary or fetching Swamp and Fatal Pushing, depending on what we're up against. So, okay. So we are up against some type of likely to be counterspell deck. Yeah, that would definitely be a card I'm interested in. Alright, so it's Pensgrad one, so Trap Trainer, revealing. Bolt, sure. So many do I go to? 16? Okay. So Inquisition. Do you make a move with your... I think we just take Flame of Anor, right? And deal you lethal. So the question becomes, do I try to become or stay the combo deck against the counterspell deck, or do I try to be more mid-range controlling? So the cards that I would likely want to bring in, as I'd likely want to bring in those. I likely want to bring in the Dothies. I likely want to bring in the Shouldereds. Probably go down a Veto or two. Probably go down some amount of the combo. Trying to think. 61. Seems fine. Painful, but fine. Could be kind of vulnerable to Blood Moon, honestly. Consign to memory. That is an interesting one. Sure. Anything interesting to Steam Vents, Preordain. So now they still have these cards in hand. No, don't think we want that one. I'm going to fetch another Thundering Falls here. I'm feeling this is going to consign, which is fine. Sure. I don't really think I care about them exchanging with that. think we'll just pass at this point. Mm-hmm. Flip. Okay. Draw and discard a card. Nice. Again, I don't know that Consign the Memory is a card I'd bring in against us, but might be the correct thing. I don't know.
It's not in the bedroom.
Camera on that one.
Honey?
Yes.
Just for the eyes.
Hey, Stress Daddy, thanks for the raid. How'd your stream go? So, we're working on a list I've been working on for a couple Sundays now. This was the Necro Dominance combo deck with life gain. Basically, I've been trying to figure out the non-combo matchup This hand's a little... The mana is definitely awkward. Still think we keep it. Need a third land. But with a couple profane tutors. It's a work in progress. There was a couple of people that did a list. The original list was this. I've seen it a couple times. It was like a mono black list splashing for Nourishing Shoal and Otacron Worm to pair with Necro Dominance, and then obviously Sorin and Veto as ways to just kind of dome the opponent. It was a mono black sideboard, and we played in a couple leagues, and the deck has felt pretty reasonable. The one thing I struggled against was against any type of counterspell deck, basically, and I was trying to tweak it to where the sideboard's a little bit better set up against counterspells, both with a semi-transformational sideboard and the ability to play a couple copies of Veil of Summer, with the unfortunate cost the mana base is a little bit worse. So, played against a list last week that was doing something similar to what we were doing, only they were playing Sphinx's Tutelage as their alternate kill, and just they milled us out. It was kind of hilarious, but so wonder what. I don't think it's the same player as last week. Game history. Nope, definitely a different player. Opponent's probably like, what do I take of this pile? Presume you take the Palantir here, or one of the Profane Tutors. They agree on the Profane Tutor part. And we'll take the third land. Question is, are we up against Frog? Yep, looks like we're up against Esper Frog. Force of negation? They do not. Alright, let's see if we can alternative kill them. So we're up against Garroyos. Is the opponent going to draw enough cards to kill us here? I think unfortunately, they didn't take Force of Negation? Interesting. Sure. Which one's actually better here? Veto or Sorin? So with Sorin, we can put them to 1, but we can't quite kill them. Okay, so we exactly killed them because I messed up on the extort. Okay. Have not played against Garoyas yet. I don't suspect this is a good matchup. Definitely want the Dothies. Might want 1 copy of Shouldered. Veto can probably, one of the copies of Veto can get out of here. One of the Profane Tutors can get out of here. We might want these. Profane Tutor is just really slow, but we do kind of need it. Trim Summon the Combo, trim a Soul Spike, and trim one of the Sorins. How relevant is Fatal Push? So they showed us Tameo and Frog both. My question becomes, which yeah, we'll roll a 61. Alright, so this hand does basically nothing. We have none of our graveyard hate cards. We don't have any of our ways to find... I mean, obviously we have a couple underground mortuaries to try to find a combo piece, but I think we can do better on 6. This hand's kind of suffering from the opposite problem. I do think we keep it though and get rid of... Do we get rid of Shoal or Dominance? I think I get rid of a Dominance here. Okay. Obviously we could Thoughtseize here, but I'm more interested in surveilling. Sure. Dothie's a problem for their A-game plan. Palantir and Necrodominance give us some redundancy. Thoughtseize means anything in their hand is not relevant. So I guess they're going for the try to clear the way for the reanimation plan. Okay, Thoughtseize. Consign and Force of Negation. Don't really care about Consign. I guess I haven't played enough Necro Dominance to know why people keep bringing in Consign. Sure. Opponent's got a frog. Opponent would need to surveil into Garroyo's plus, or surveil into Fatty plus Garroyo's here. Well, I'm gonna say that would have been terrifying. Goodbye, graveyard. Punksies. Yeah, Consign is relevant against that, I suppose. Should have considered that, but probably should have let off on Necro Dominance, let them consign the trigger. Been a heck of a game so far. Opponent decides to do nothing. Sure. We'll try. Oh, okay. Fetch green source, cast Attracts on next turn. Nope. Mm-hmm. We're about to get yep, we should have tried to play Sauron last turn pre-combat. Alright. I definitely goofed by playing that Palantir into their consigned memory. We'll keep this hand. We don't have any of the payoffs, but we do have a couple of discard spells and potentially one of our graveyard hate pieces. I'm going to fetch Overgrown. I don't like taking the extra damage, but I do think we do need to be mindful of the Veil of Summers in our deck. Wonder if they're considering Force of Negation this. Do 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 do. Waiting for our opponent to make up their minds. So how's everyone doing today? We stream Modern here every Sunday. Was streaming Energy there for a while. Before that, we were streaming Prowess some. Picked up on this list. I'd seen it a couple of times. So we streamed it a couple weeks in a row. First week we went 4-1. Second week we went 3-2. Most of our losses were to what do we take here? I think we take Negation. Then next turn we set up to push plus or take la 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 Archaeologist and push Frog. Third land, keeping. Opponent will probably not play Frog now until they can hold up Ephemerate. See, I think this is a mistake. I think that is a very bad mistake on our opponent's part. Now, obviously, they have plenty of ways to deal with this, so this isn't necessarily game over, but they're going to have to surveil here, hope to hit something. They just have Leyline Binding as one of their last cards? Or were they just setting up? Obviously, if they have Solitude Ephemerate, we kind of get blown out here, so... Alright. Seems like we might have found the right game plan for this deck. It's actually, well, I mean, Gorillas is kind of a counterspell deck. I mean, they have Force of Negation, they had Consign to Memory. Previous to that, we played against, is it Twin? And in the first round, we played against Rakdos Burn. I think in some regards, like, fair decks like Burn and Energy, at least thus far, have proven to be fairly reasonable matchups. I mean, we have an unfair game plan that forces them to react. We have tons of life gain, tons of removal, and if we land one of our card advantage engines, they have a very hard time keeping up. So, yeah, we'll keep. No interaction for whatever our opponent's doing, which could be a problem, but And then we do have the back door. If we just draw Nourishing Shoal, then this Sorin turns into a Domia for 15. I don't think we want another Sorin. Amuleto? Is enough for one. So what is more likely to be going on here? Amulet or Yogg? Amulet though it is. Okay. Sure. All right. How many cards do I draw? Okay. So how many Nourishing Shoals do we draw? Just the one? So need these two. Okay, that's 5 mana. And escape shift. Mistaken, thanks for the raid, man. How was your stream? So we're either going to get hit by a Titan or a... No, we're getting hit by a Titan because of... Or Aftermath Analyst. Transmute. I think it has to be Analyst, right? Summoner's Pact. I don't think Titan alone here is enough. Yeah, Aftermath Analyst. we're just gonna let them do their thing. I haven't seen a ton of the Aftermath analyst loops, so it's at least somewhat interesting to watch. Like, at this point, I'm 99% sure my opponent can kill me. How much time they're going to burn doing it is another matter altogether. Zenith for 6. Go get a Titan. Titan, I assume, has to get the green copy land, which I can't remember off the top of my head. Yeah, Shifting Woodlands. And from there, they just copy Aftermath Analyst, bring it back, bring all these lands back, and then yada, yada, yada. Alright, so I don't think we win a fair game against Titan. So, I'm not 100% sure what we should even bring in. No, we're bringing in the Visages. Those 100% are coming in. Veil of Summer doesn't feel like it does enough. Dothy... So it does shut off the Aftermath Analyst, and it does give us the, like, Thoughtseize Steal Your Titan game plan. Which I might be interested in, because I don't know if they have any idea what we're doing. Our main game plan gets significantly worse. I'll bring in one Shieldred. Profane Tutor's a little slow. And is there anything else we'd want to bring in? Visages can theoretically slow them down. Break the Ice only really hits Urza's Saga and Crumbling Vestige. Don't think that's worth it. You're supposed to go down to Soul Sprite, bring in the other. So I'd like to play first. Yeah, I mean, these are the kind of hands you gotta keep. Inquisition on one. Yeah, I think we have to Inquisition on one because of the presence of Amulet specifically itself. There's Grazer. Probably putting on the War in. I think we can bin that one. This GSZ for interesting. think we go for the full Monty here, just go up to 13. So start. So we leave. We're 3-0 so far. Don't think there's anything they could do here to survive. Actually boarded out a Profane Tutor. Two Vetoes, two Sorons. Fatal Push doesn't do a ton, so maybe it's just supposed to be a push instead. I mean, push can kill, if they expose it, it can kill after Analyst. If we have a fetch lane, it can kill Dryad. I don't even know if Mistaken, does Amulet even play Azusa in most of the Aftermath builds anymore? So I don't know how many Fatal Pushes I even want in the list, so Veil of Summer doesn't do anything. Yeah, I figured it had been. I know there were some of the Aftermath Analyst builds that would still occasionally play it, but I know like the vast majority are on Aftermath Analyst now. So I think we're better off trying to Dothy them than we are trying to Fatal Push anything they've got. So but thanks, Cable Wire. I appreciate that. Does hand do anything? So the plus side of this hand is we have Beseju and Profane Tutor. The problem is if the Titan hand is anything to write home about at all, this hand just doesn't... I mean, it's a turn 4 kill, theoretically. You go suspend Tutor on to play Veto on turn 4, play a Necrodominance, hope to draw a Nourishing Shoal, we have a Fatal Push to interact. We'll try it, because there isn't a ton of our hands that are going to do a lot better on the draw. And depending on how far the Amulet player has to go down, one Boseiju might be enough to slow them down long enough to win the game. Might be. And obviously, for some reason, if they go for Dryad Art, we're on one, we can just Fatal Push it. Does appear to be what they're doing. Opponent has a Vestige in their hand. So dominance is sure. That's 4 mana. With one of their cards in hand being so their hand is Boseiju, Crumbling Vestige, 1 unknown. Black Source would be nice here. Okay, now we have a choice to make. How many forests does Amulet typically run anymore? Amuleto, how many forests? 3? Looks like 3 is the normal. So we actually have a tough decision here. I think we hold up we'll go ahead and Boseiju this during their upkeep. Gives them the most opportunity to draw their other forest. Prime time. Bounce land Besiju. Well, have we drawn any soul spikes? We drew one. Which means I'm pretty sure we're dead here. Okay, so we need that was dumb. I needed to keep a Sorin, not a veto. If I'd kept Sorin, we would have won this game, which is kind of ironic. Because then we could have extorted for 1, dome them for 15, or dome them for 16. Whereas here we've only got 15 life to gain. I can only assume they're going to blow this up with the All right, so 4-0 playing for the 5-0. So I'm trying to think. I think the only non-tier deck or tier deck that I haven't seen at least once, haven't seen Breach. We have seen Energy, we have seen Frog, we have seen Garroyos. Now I've seen Amulet and whatnot. Eldrazi I've seen and beaten with the older version of the deck. Orzhov, not sure how that matchup goes yet. So card that has really surprised me though is Palantir. Now obviously it makes us a little bit vulnerable to consign to memory, a little bit more than just relying on the triggers for Necro dominance and such. And then, but flipping over an Otacron Worm is almost a loss for most decks. So in some ways it doubles as both a win con and a card advantage engine, in addition to the Necropotent or Necro dominances. I think having this semi-transformational Voidwalker shouldered plan. Granted, we haven't really played shouldered yet, but Dothy's been decent in a couple spots so far this league. We haven't really seen Veil of Summer in action. Boseiju ended up being relevant against Amulet, I think. And obviously this is also a decent card against something like Eldrazi to help slow them down. Meathook Massacre really only for the tribal decks and energy. Just when you need more things than Fatal Push, Soul Spike, and Fell the Profane to slow your opponent's aggression down. Which there aren't too many decks in the format left really that applies to. So, and then the one of Oof against theoretically could help against Breach, along with your Dothys, your Boggart Trollers, your Thoughtseizes, your Inquisitions. So I don't think that matchup will be unwinnable. I just don't know that it'll be good. Of course, how long Breach will remain in the format, who knows? I mean, I know some people would like to see it banned. I don't know if the format can correct itself enough to answer Breach. So, a lot of white-black floating around, obviously, because of copies of Ketramos. So, I think the format's still a little bit in flux, although obviously the top decks are kind of a known quantity. So I've been impressed with this deck so far with its ability to hang in with most decks. Like, obviously you have the oops I win with Necro Dominance. You have an okay mid-range game plan, especially with this deck in the post-board configuration. Don't have really outs to anything like Blood Moon. One of the nice things about the original version of the deck is you were running 11 swamps. So you could easily play most things around Blood Moon, other than, Necro could be a little bit tricky if you had to rely on one MDFC or whatever. But you still had Palantir to kind of bail you out. So the rest of the deck, Nourishing Shoal and Autocron Worm, you aren't doing anything fair if these two cards are in your deck. Whether it was Neo Brand, this deck, I don't think there's been a single fair deck I've ever seen Autocron Worm in. I mean, we can't keep the no-lander, but this hand is kind of hilarious. Double Soul Spike, whatnot. So, this hand's alright. What am I putting back here? Am I putting back I feel like I'm putting back a veto. Basic Forest, Amuleto. Alright. Back-to-back amulets. Try to win. So. Doesn't seem likely this is going to hit anything relevant. Kind of crazy that there is multiple opponent's got the lands. Well, do we die to Construct Beatdown or do we die to something else? Four. This is the way we make constructs, make constructs, make constructs. This is the way we make constructs so late in the evening. Okay, that's terrifying. I mean, if they've got a Titan, we're just dead here, so. This looks like a GSZ. Sure. Alright, well, instead of watching the masturbation station, we'll just move on to the next game. Because basically they can copy Titan, use Titan to go get, eventually once they get the Delirium in the graveyard, use Titan to go get the copy land, use the copy land to get Aftermath Analyst out of the graveyard, and then cycle, and then make basically infinite Titans with haste and go on their merry way. Alright, so something blows up the snow or could produce black or colorless. So 2 of these out, 1 of that out, 1 Soul Spike out, showing that out. 1 Veto, 1 Sorin. Kind of funny, we boarded more lands and still don't have an opener land in our opener. Basically we have 1 land in our opener. I think we gotta go 5. Alright, we'll try this. On the Inquisition. So sure. Okay. Spelunking. So our hand is Titan, Dryad. Actually, that was a dumb card to leave on top, but okay. Need to actually tap for green there, friend. Mm-hmm. Pretty sure their last card in hand's a Besiju, isn't it? That was actually dumb. Well, Voidwalker put in exile. Never mind. Kill the Titan. Yeah, that probably would have been the smarter move. Didn't think of that aspect. I was just thinking about killing it on the way back down. But yeah, I should have killed it. Opponent kept 7. We have an Inquisition, 2 cards that do nothing, and some lands. Gotta hope to get a little bit lucky here, but I don't think we're gonna live that long. It's probable we should have mulliganed to 5. Because I don't think we're living till our turn 4, so Amulet would have had to kept a very weird hand. Probably we should possibly have bottomed that. Looking for an Inquisition or a Thoughtseize just to interact. This doesn't really do anything, but we'll at least get Soren out. It's not like aim. I mean, they might have what, Dismember mistaken as a way to kill this. It'd be the only thing I could think of that they would play that would. They've got to have Spelunking after all this, right? Grazer. And the Bog, sure. Almost seems like they're way too interested in keeping up Beseiju here. Could have gained a life there. Sure. Still have Beseiju up. Okay, and you have Titan. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of figured that the whole time. That's why I tried to bait with Palantir. My only hope is that they don't, that we're able to top an Autocron Worm and they just continue to mill us. Or some combination of cards that kill them. Seems, or could top deck a, well, I'm assuming Valakut's going to go after Sorin here, right? Yeah, so literally our only way to win is going to be Palantir here. They also goofed and didn't float a red mana. they're just gonna like let us draw it. Yep. Alright. Darn close to the 5-0, but we did have to get lucky to win that 4-0 matchup against the first amulet opponent, so still kind of liking where this deck's headed. I don't think it's perfect by any means. It's certainly beatable. I mean, it's a turn 4 combo deck with plenty of disruption. I think still tweaking the sideboard, maybe working with some things, maybe even replacing like going the new route of, you know, Ketramos and relics. I don't know if there's enough room in the deck to do that, but, you know, replacing the Palantirs with that, so you have more of a mid-range plan. There's some different directions this deck can go. Obviously, its engine is kind of very much locked in terms of what you can do, although I do wonder if you can't, like, shave a Vito, shave a Sorin, you know, maybe get another Thoughtseize or an Inquisition in here, because these cards really aren't particularly good until you're actually trying to win the game with a combo. Both of them are very mediocre beaters, and, you know, having additional disruption, it is possible that the green splash isn't the right way to go, that the Besagus and the Veils, you maybe just get by with some more discard spells. Maybe you can splash, you know, white if that happens to be your preferred hate color in terms of like splash color. You can splash blue, and there's a number of different things you can do with this deck. I don't think it's been explored quite enough yet, but still needs some work. Don't know how many people are out there working on it. Like I said, I saw it in a couple different 5-0s and different deck dumps. So I figured after the second time, I was like, well, whatever, let's give it a shot. And then I've had 2 4-1s and a 3-2. The only matchups that felt terrible were the counterspell matchups. And I think having some additional threats to pressure their counterspells, having the Veil of Summers kind of helps that. I don't think we hurt the mana base too terribly much. And then the loss of 1 castle locked Wayne is debatable how important that is. So this deck's pretty sweet, but does need some work still. I'll continue tweaking with it as long as I feel there's some room to explore, or I feel it's still reasonable enough. But as always, if you do like modern content, don't forget to give us a follow here on Twitch. Don't forget to give us a subscribe on YouTube. I cover quite a bit in the modern meta, mostly working on this deck at the moment, but do have some just like general overviews for different decks. But as always, thanks Mistaken, thanks Strass Daddy for their raids tonight, thanks Cable Wire for his comment, and everybody else checking us out on YouTube and Twitch, thank you very much, and hope to see you for next week's stream. See ya.